Welcome, everybody. We're here with Becoming Irvine. I'm really excited to introduce my guest, General Mike Aguilar. Mike, thanks for coming here today.
Mike, my pleasure. I'm thrilled to be
We're
here.
really excited. Well, here we're just basically trying to figure out the things that make Irvine an amazing place. And one of those things that's coming online is this Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum that will be, I believe, and I think you would agree, on par to be one of the greatest aviation museums in the United States, maybe anywhere. And you're about to just in a few months break ground on this. We're so excited to have you. And we'd love to just chat for a little bit about it so that the listeners can understand a little bit about what you have in mind and what is in store and ahead to come. But first, I have to take you back. You're a general. You're one of the first, you are the first general of Mexican descent in the U.S. Marine Corps. Tell me a little bit what got you into military service.
Well, quite honestly, and thank you for having me, Mike. It's a thrill to be here. My father served in World War II. He was a gunner on the B-26s, so he would talk about his experience. And being a post World War II child, a boomer, there were still a lot of World War II movies that I grew up on. So a combination of my father's stories about serving the country in the Air Force got me excited about serving in the military, along with both my parents felt it very important that we had to, as uh, individuals, serve our country. So they inspired me to join the military. Although my original plans were to go into the Air Force, I ended up in the Marine Corps, which of course ended up wonderful for me. But my interest started with the stories from my dad.
And then you have military background going way back in your ancestry, isn't that right?
A little bit,
What do you
yes.
tell us about that?
Well, the family on my father's side actually came to the United States as a result of my grandfather's participation in the Mexican Revolution, which was in the early 1900s. Don't know exactly what happened, but he was fighting with the revolutionaries. There were some circumstances, according to family lore, that required him to get out of town very quickly. So he and my grandmother in 1910 left Mexico during the Mexican Revolution as a result of some issue that occurred.
Yeah, what was that issue? Apparently, what do you know?
The only thing we know for sure is based on correspondence between my grandfather and my great grandfather is whatever happened, he had to leave town. My grandfather was looking to try to get back into Mexico. My great grandfather responded, "It's not safe to come home yet."
How to get out of there?
He had to get out of there, and, of course, it worked out wonderful for the family.
Well, Irvine, as you know, and you're not an Irvine resident, but you are one of us. You're adopted here in our amazing community. Is the most integrated, diverse community in America based upon a study. So we have people from all walks, all diverse group of people, immigrants, many first generation immigrants with stories. So it's fun to hear your particular family story that got you here. But then your family settled in the San Diego area.
Well, actually, Los Angeles. I was born in Los Angeles, and raised right off down the road in Torrance.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So then you got in there and tell us about this. You have to because like your military history, you flew 4,000 hours, Hueys, Cobra attack helicopters. Tell me about that.
Well, it was my childhood dream. In fact, in 7th grade, believe it or not, and this is probably the story people don't know about me, I actually, from public school, asked my parents to send me to an all-boys parochial high school.
Oh, wow.
For some reason, that's how much I wanted to pursue my ambition to be a military pilot because the parochial school I went to had a good relationship with the Air Force Academy. Did not make it to the Air Force Academy. I'm not what you call the smartest or brightest light bulb in the room, but I did end up going to Long Beach State. And during one of those wonderful spring days here in Southern California, I was leaving class a little early and happened to have recruiters there in 1969 on campus. And there were the Marine recruiters in their dress blues. And of course, I was drawn to them right away with their uniform, walked up and asked the question, "Do you guys fly?"
Wow.
And of course, I knew they did. I'd seen the John Wayne movies. And that's how I ended up joining the Marine Corps.
There's nothing like going over a aircraft, which what I had the opportunity to do with our mayor of Dana Point, Jamie Federico,
Mhm.
who flew Cobras like
Right.
you did,
Uh-huh.
and just walking through the aircraft with him in the hangar and seeing everything and seeing all the pieces that come together for a layperson that doesn't fly. I have a boat, so I know how to navigate a little bit, but it's a heck of a lot easier than flying something like a Cobra. So tell us a little about that. I mean, where did you, what action did you see, and what conflicts were you flying these aircrafts in? Tell us the kind of situation you're in.
Well, the only conflict I was involved in was the Gulf War in the, late early '90s, but throughout my 31-year career, there was always that was the Cold War period, so we were always on deployment. So after receiving my wings in 1973, date myself a little bit, I then transitioned over to the, Huey originally, and Vietnam, it was closing down, so, all the pilots out of flight school were scheduled to go overseas, but in '73, the Marine Corps stopped, going into Vietnam, and that's when I got my wings. But after that, then I went overseas and, spent a lot of time on board ship again. This is during the Cold War, so we were always deploying, training, and preparing, for hopefully, no war at all, but you have to prepare. So the majority of my time was, training and preparing for possibly having going to war, doing numerous deployments overseas on board ship or in Okinawa, what we call a 1-year unaccompanied tour. But you were always involved in something. And then it really wasn't until the first Gulf War that I went to war and I participated in the first Gulf War. After that, of course, things were slowing down in the Soviet Union. So I retired just prior to the second Gulf War going on
So you were flying the Cobra?
at the time.
Okay.
Yes, uh-huh.
And tell me, you gotta give us something really interesting.
Well, actually, I ended up here was my I spent my whole career looking to prepare to go to war, and although I was in the, battle area flying Cobras, the helicopters didn't get involved. It was a 4-day ground war. So I was the executive officer for the air group, so I wasn't in a squadron, where all the pilots really were at. I was, if you will, on the staff, the next level up. And so, I was preparing, I would work with the squadrons to get involved, but after 4 days, the war was over, so my turn to actually fly, I missed the actual shooting opportunities. Not that I'm complaining about it,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
but, you train your whole career to go to war, and, 4 days after spending most of the year in the Gulf waiting for the war to start, the ground war to start, 4 days later, it was over. So but that was the extent of my war.
And when did you become general?
So late '99, I was selected in the '90s and picked up for brigadier general and was in DC at the time. From there, I spent 2 tours in Washington, DC, one on the joint staff and then one in the secretary staff, OSD, Office of Secretary of Defense. And then I went down to Southern Command and, I was the Marine Forces down there. In my first 6 months, I was the Joint Task Force commander for the transfer of Panama Canal over to the government of Panama.
Right, when President Carter gave the country of Panama the canal back.
Exactly. 20 years later, we had to turn it over, so,
Right.
I was there as the Joint, Task Force commander to ensure the, security operations went smoothly as we transferred the, property over to Panama.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Any interesting stories on that as far as anything go a little crazy there?
No, in fact, it went very well. The only thing I will say that was kind of interesting, early on, here was 2000. I was surprised on the amount of Chinese interest that was already going on in the Panama Canal.
Really?
Yeah, so of course that's in the
In
news
what year?
nowadays. This was in
Oh,
2000.
that's really early.
Very much so.
Yeah,
So they were
yeah.
already involved on the North Port, on the Gulf Port out there. The Chinese were already in there. So that was, I found very interesting that they were already taking a toehold there in Central America.
Wow. Well, that's of course a nation and a people that have been at it for thousands of years. So with our young nation over here at a couple hundred
Yeah, exactly.
to go, so that is actually pretty interesting. So you go for, and then at some point you end up at Miramar, where you get introduced to, and you're among all this amazing marine aircraft. So tell me about how you get to Miramar, how that happens.
Well, after I retired from the Marine Corps, I went, stayed in the federal government with the Transportation Security Administration. I helped stand that up and worked there for 11 years. And then I thought I would slowly transition to full retirement. So I did some consulting, as many general officers do. So I did that for 5 years. And then I decided now it's time to retire. So I volunteered and was working with the Flying Leatherneck Historical Foundation, which is the organization which I'm now president and CEO of. But it's the organization that was supplementing the financial operations of the museum at San Diego in Miramar, which is the museum at the time was owned by the Marine Corps.
Okay. And before we go any further, what on earth is a flying leatherneck?
Good. Everyone wants to know about a flying leatherneck. Well, leatherneck comes the term from the early 1800s. The Marines used to wear a leather collar around their neck. Reason for it, the stories go, was two: one to keep their head up straight while they're on board ship, or the other one, of course, to protect them from sabers when they were engaged in battle.
Oh, wow.
But that's where the term comes from, leatherneck, and it started as a derogatory term by the Navy. Of course, Marines being Marines said, you know, well, you're not going to get one over on us. We're proud of our leathernecks, so we kept the term of leatherneck.
Wow.
And then flying leatherneck came from the John Wayne movie, 1946, I think, or 48, called The Flying Leathernecks. So that's where the our museum name comes from.
And that was a World War II movie
That
with
was a
John
World War
Wayne.
II John Wayne movie,
Okay.
correct?
So going back, so what was when did that get established down there? The actual, the museum at Miram and San Diego.
Well, it actually started, believe it or not, here at Marine Corps Air Station El
Oh,
Toro
wow.
in 1989. So when the air station closed down in 99, again being owned by the Marine Corps, the museum, along with the whole 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, moved down to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. And that's where the Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum operated for the next 20 years until 2021, when the Marine Corps just couldn't afford running the museum anymore. That's when the foundation decided that they would then try to make arrangements, partnership with the Marine Corps to privatize it at Miramar.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we were unable to make that work, but very fortunate for us, the city of Irvine early on reached out to us and said, "How would you like to work with us to bring the museum back to its original home at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, now called Great Park?"
Oh, that's great.
So that's how it all started in 2021.
So they were sort of in a position where it was going down there, but it looked like sort of the wheels were coming off the wagon. There were some
Absolutely.
issues with regard to support by the Marines. And how about, was this place even? It was. I would imagine it's a part of the base that was open to the public, and
It
people could
was.
just.
It was,
And
yeah.
was it well attended? Were there good traffic numbers in terms of people coming in there and visiting?
It was very successful for 20 years, operated very successfully. The entrance to the base
Yeah.
was right off Miramar Road, so they didn't have to go onto the base. We had it all blocked off. And it ran out of a small little building. All the aircraft were statically displayed outside. But it ran very successfully, especially given the competition. You had the Midway, you had the San Diego Air and Space, you had all the other museums that were down there. So, given that San Diego's a big tourist city, and you had all these competing attractions, we operated very well. We expect to do much better here in Irvine, of course, but it was a very successful museum. A great deal of not only national but international visitors while we were down in San Diego.
Oh, wow. So we have you coming up to Irvine, the Great Park, largest municipal park under development in the United States. Over a billion two in development funds. Ground is being moved everywhere. We have two massive lakes, a boathouse being built, a live music amphitheater. People sort of know that this place is moving now. It's not a balloon and a sports park, which, of course, itself, as you know, General, in California, everything is so darn big and there's so much density that even a place with a balloon and a sports park like our great park currently gets 6 million visits a year, which is staggering and still larger than many other parks in America. But we have so much more to go. And your location and what we're calling this cultural terrace area to have this museum is just a perfect spot. We know that everything's been graded. We have a groundbreaking coming. Um, and just really seems exciting beyond, really beyond words. Tell us a little about what will be in this museum, the aircraft.
We're absolutely thrilled to be part of this project. I mean, we can see that it has unbelievable potential, and we think our museum, along with the other stakeholders, our partners in the cultural terrace, are all thrilled that we're part of this exciting project. But we'll be bringing a brand new facility, a state of the art museum, 132,000 square foot museum. It's going to look like a big hangar because it kind of is a
Yeah,
big hangar,
right.
where we'll have very hands-on, immersive, experiential exhibits and displays that not only tell the story of Marine Corps aviation and the Marine Corps and our involvement over many years. We want it to be, as all museums should be, a center of educational excellence. We're focusing on not only honoring the history and legacy of Marine Corps aviation, but we're hoping through our exhibits and displays to create a new sense and appreciation for American values and patriotism. Just when you walk around, and you've been there, Mike, you just kind of puff up your chest, you go, boy, this is great. This America made these
There's
things.
really something, General, about standing next to a Huey helicopter, transport helicopter, or a Cobra attack helicopter, or some of these jets that you guys flew. I mean, it's truly, you have to kind of be near them. And for me, I had an experience that I think crystallized it, and maybe many of the members in our community in Irvine. And unfortunately, one of those things that's just almost too far away is the opportunity to go up to Exposition Park, hard to get to, it's not exactly close, and see the space shuttle. Now, as a kid in the 80s, the greatest thing on the planet for me was watching that space shuttle take off. And one of the saddest and most tragic moments was the Challenger in 1986 disaster. To have one of the existing space shuttles here, I remember the moment that I had my daughter, General, and I walked into that room. And I hope you'll have some of this fancy music too, because I don't know what it was, and it was probably because you get to walk under it and next to it. We were running this music, this very soft, uh, uh, atmospheric music, and you walk into this hangar that I'm sure yours is going to be a lot larger with all this aircraft, and you look at the space shuttle and you behold it, and you see the United States, and I think it's aerial font with the flag next to it, and you have these visions of a child of this thing taking off and landing, and just to stand next to these amazing pieces of machinery that like human hands have built. I mean, that's what it is for me. I don't know if that's, it's kind of resonates with you, but to stand next to these jets, when I jumped onto that Cobra helicopter you guys have, it's hard for me to describe the feeling. And you flew them for a career, but what's it like?
Well, and that segues into the next uh, thing we want to do there at the museum is, as I said, it's going to be experiential, honoring Marine Corps history, patriotism. But we also want it, as I said, to be an education center. And we believe through our exhibits and displays, we will inspire our youth to pursue those science, technology, engineering, and math STEM disciplines that are so important to the security of the nation. We want our children to pursue those disciplines
Yes.
and help keep our country uh, globally in a position that is secure and economically at the forefront. Uh, so that's what we're really working
We're
on.
going to create a lot of inspiration.
In fact, we're already doing it. We, in our collection, we just recently acquired what is called a J4 Jenny, an old biplane from World War One. Great uh, piece of aircraft early on World War One.
This is like like you're exposed and it's like the wind's in your face and you have goggles on. Yeah.
But
The Red Baron.
exactly. We acquired it from a gentleman up in Northern California, but it wasn't put together. It's an actual Jenny
Wow.
with the engine and all. So we acquired it. It's all in the hangar now, literally in boxes and pieces. And we have partnered with UCI, School of Engineering and Aeronautical Engineering, and we had to hold them down. 80 students
Wow.
come in and they're putting the darn thing
In
together
the hangar.
in
And
the
I should
hangar.
mention, we have a temporary, one of the old Marine, El Toro Marine hangars
Right.
is being used for all your aircraft that's sitting there right now, undergoing restoration.
Correct.
I know you do limited tours for people that may be interested. Do this for us if you could. Walk us through the museum. I know what these aircraft look like. I've seen them being restored. You have the greatest vision of what this looks like. Walk into the museum for us and just tell us like what you would see and what's in front of you and what can you walk around and why is it what's important or interesting about it?
Well, the first thing you're going to do when you walk in the front door, you're going to see this beautiful A4. It's the last production model of the A4, painted in a very unique color scheme. Fighter jet, attack jet, and it's going to be hanging right over your head. So you'll walk in and you'll see it suspended
Right.
in there. Again, this is the last production model, and it's painted uniquely with all the flags of countries
Oh wow.
that purchased the aircraft. So it's going to be right over your
How
head.
big is this thing? Like, and you get under it. I mean, it's huge. Like, what's the span, the wingspan,
Oh
and just
gosh,
give us some ideas.
it's probably around 30 feet wingspan, if I recall correctly, give or take some. Uh, but after you walk in on this beautiful foyer, and you'll have a research library glass entry, you'll see there'll be displays in there. But then looking forward as you walk into the museum, there's going to be what we call a rotunda. Now, in the rotunda, we're hoping to hang the Jenny. It will be put together at that time, and it will be hanging there. And there'll be this large screen that will start the story of Marine Corps aviation. So you'll walk in, and right away, it will be a sensory overload of the history of Marine Corps aviation with this aircraft hanging over you. Uh,
Wow.
After you enter that rotunda area, and then you'll veer over to your right, and you'll go in through behind the rotunda, and that's where we'll start the story of Marine Corps aviation. We'll have displays, other aircraft hanging up in the air. We'll have displays telling the story about the early development of Marine Corps aviation. You'll go through this display area, and then you'll finally get into the main exhibition hall. And then all the aircraft will either be statically displayed on the ground. We'll have around 22 of them hanging from the ceilings
Oh
throughout
wow.
this large
22
22, 180 by 500.
flying. They're literally in
They're going
flight.
to be flying. They will be,
Wow.
and they'll be displayed chronologically, showing the development of Marine Corps aviation and, of course, technology as we rotate all the way around through this huge museum, which not only will have the exhibits and displays, very, again, immersive,
Yeah.
hands-on, telling the story of not only the aircraft, but of the people that supported the aircraft, the whole story of Marine Corps aviation, which is, as I like to jokingly tell people, it's more than just about the tall, good-looking pilot. It's also about the mechanics,
Right.
the avionics personnel, the
Yeah.
ordnance personnel, the administrative personnel, the command and control personnel. Uh, so we're going to tell the whole story of Marine Corps aviation in this beautiful, again, large, brand new,
Wow.
state-of-the-art museum.
I have a favorite, and the favorite for me is the Lady Ace, and I want to talk about that for a second. But other than the Lady Ace helicopter, what give us one or two amazing aircraft that you have in there that we're going to see, and just describe it for us. What does it look like?
So one of the more iconic World War II aircraft is the Corsair. It's the gull wing aircraft. The Black Sheep flew it. The squadron, the Black Sheep 214, flew that. But it's a very iconic one. This one is unique in that this is a 1950 model. And on the right wing of this aircraft, there's a large radar dome. And what people don't realize, the Marine Corps was very instrumental early on in the development of radar in aviation. So they're going to be able to get a chance to see an iconic Corsair aircraft with this large radar dome, and they'll scratch their head and ask, "What the
Wow.
heck is that?"
Wow. Pretty early, very early
Very early
use
on.
of.
So, and we'll have a lot of aircraft that will be able to tell the story of the development of a radar that the Marine Corps was at the forefront of early on. That's a pretty unique one. We have two aircraft that are very interesting. They have glass panels on the side in the reconnaissance aircraft, and there were cameras that were loaded in these aircraft. So those are people always walk by and they wonder, what's this glass? Of course, we have to tell them the story. Well, those were camera where they would fly over enemy positions used during the Cuban crisis. That's what they flew over Cuba with, and they took all the pictures you saw were taken with those type of aircraft.
Oh, I can't wait to
So
see
those
that.
are really neat to see.
That one's gonna be very unique and very interesting, and I think it's gonna blow a lot of people away because it's not something they would normally see or
Exactly.
picture in their mind or in the movies. I was at
Exactly.
John Wayne, waiting for a flight, and there was this book on this coffee table book on aviation, and
Mhm.
what you don't realize that I'm reading this book, General, and it's like the original aviation were like, machines that would fly in the 17, 1800s, and many of these things failed. And then there were balloon, lighter than
Right.
air sort of aircraft. And then you realize the first thing they're used as reconnaissance in wartime, country to country, conflict
Right.
or dropping bombs. So it's interesting. Aviation and military service and really just practically intertwined. The technology and the development of the craft. It's just sort of it's amazing. I don't know. Maybe it's because my grandmother was a Rosie the River. I think I had told you
Right.
that,
Yeah.
and she worked at Grumman Aerospace building Hellcats and other planes. And my dad worked as a logistics guy at Grumman as well on the F-14A through D project. So aviation's really important, in my family. But just it's just so breathtaking to me just seeing these
Oh,
crafts.
sure.
But I got to ask you because I know I'm not the only one. What and you flew these things. Why does everybody love the Cobra? What is it about that Cobra attack helicopter? Is it because Black Hawk Down and everything? You watch these things and you're like, what is it about the Cobra? I know you have, I think, at least one. What is it about that thing that everybody loves?
Well,
People like me.
yeah, it's every infantryman's best friend. So when you need close air support, close in fire support, the Cobra can get down low, get very personal with the enemy.
You don't want to be that personal with a
You know,
Cobra.
exactly. So I think that's what people find very, especially the infantrymen. It's their best friend. Not that the fixed wing don't do a great job with close air support; they do.
Right.
But to be able to get down and literally see the pilot, the infantryman to see the pilot, just creates a bond. I think that's very
Yeah.
unique between the aviator and the ground.
Does it require, and I'm asking you to play favorites, so be careful here. You're on recording. Is it sort of it's a different type of piloting, obviously, than fixed wing, but is it more difficult to pilot something like a Cobra versus something that's fixed wing, in your opinion, or
So every helicopter pilot will tell you that it's much harder to fly a
well, that would be
helicopter.
you, wouldn't it?
That would be me,
Yeah.
of course. But like anything else, once you get used to the mechanics and operating it, it becomes second nature. But all aircraft, especially nowadays with the technology and all, they're difficult to fly. More difficult because the hand-eye mouth coordination probably is less difficult, but the technology and keeping up with that, I think, is much more challenging. When I flew, it's what we called, the gauges were all steam, driven by steam and squirrels, and it was just a hand, eye, mouth coordination effort. But nowadays, you have all this sensory information coming into you that you have to process in addition to flying the aircraft, whether it's fixed wing or rotary wing.
Yeah.
I think it's much more challenging. Fortunately, the technology provides a great deal of pilot assistance in these aircraft, but they're still very demanding for
And
our
this is the
new
kind of thing we
generation.
hope that at the Aviation Museum, we're gonna have tons of kids and
Oh,
tons of teens and tons of college kids and high school kids in high school running through there, checking this stuff out, and hopefully getting, like you said, inspired. Like this
absolutely.
literally could kind of, it's interesting. I love the idea of what we're talking about here because in a way, it's the disruptive aspects, right? There's got some really positive disruption because while these young people and people of all ages enjoying it and almost communing with history and understanding what these men and women have done, these amazing things with this aircraft, but you get young kids
Right.
who don't even know what's happening to them because they're getting ideas filled in their head like, oh my gosh, I could support this, I could help build this, maybe I could even fly this.
And in fact, you bring up a good point. Our exhibits and displays, we're hoping to bring them alive. And part of that effort to bring them alive will be our docents. We're hoping to have veterans, whether they're Marine veterans or other services, to be part of our exhibits and displays. And so all our visitors, especially the young kids, they're going to be able to talk to people who really made history and can share their experience and what it took. We're not looking to recruit people for the military. Like I said, we're looking to inspire people about aviation, the technology that goes behind it, the science, technology, engineering, and math that goes into the development, and then just really appreciate really all this country has to offer. And we'll have these docents who lived
Yeah.
this historic events, and we believe that's going to be very inspiring for all our guests, but especially our youth.
This doesn't feel like retirement to you, does it? Well, it doesn't feel like it to me. This is full time.
It isn't, but it's a passion now. It
Yeah.
really is. My wife jokes with me about it. Yeah, I've made the full circle. In fact, one of the Cobras, we have two Cobras. One of the older Cobras we have in the display, I actually have flight time in it.
Oh, your actual
Yeah,
get out.
yeah, my logbook. I looked it up. I go, I'll be darned, I flew that aircraft.
You know that, and again, Jamie was telling me that that you would know that because the logbook because they have serial numbers, so you know
Correct.
exactly what you flew, the number, the
Oh,
tail,
yeah.
whatever. Is that how this works? It's that it has to be that set
It's
up.
called the bureau
The
number.
bureau number. What's
On their
that?
serial number, it's just a
Oh,
bureau number,
okay.
same thing, and yeah, it's in your logbook, so every time you fly,
Yeah.
you land and you fill out your paperwork, and they put that information in there, and in fact, when I went and looked up this aircraft, I go, "I'll be darned." Uh, I looked the flight that I noticed the aircraft I flew in was actually, the best man in my wedding. It was a flight he and I took. Yeah, so that was kinda go,
Was
"I'll
he
be
in the? Who
darned."
was in the front and who was in the back?
Well, in the Cobra, the configuration that I
Oh,
flew,
it's side by
the
side.
pilot no, it was front and back,
Yeah.
tandem. The pilot was in the back, the pilot in command, the pilot co-pilot, was in the front seat. The new Cobras, because the front cockpit is exactly the same as the back, the pilot's now in the front.
I got to get a little geeky here though, and you're gonna have to you have to really come clean. Tell me on that helicopter. I mean, what kind of stuff did you shoot some missiles and stuff like that?
Yeah, a
Let me know what you
full
let
array.
go.
You can fire a full array. Uh, the main weapon system is the 20 millimeter gun in the
Yeah.
front, a real crowd pleaser,
Yeah.
if as you can
Okay,
well
that's
imagine.
right.
And of course, over time, the weapon systems off the stub wings varied and developed. Started off with the forward firing 2.75 5-inch missiles, unguided. You just fired them again, crowd pleasers,
Right.
and then further developed into the tow missile, the wire guided tow missile, where you'd have to acquire a target and you would guide it all the way to impact.
Yeah.
Until now, we have the Hellfire with the IR designation, either from the aircraft or from a ground designator. You just fire and you can forget it if someone else is designating
Because
the
it'll just
target.
set up the target, and then you let it go, and it goes.
And then the new Cobras, the whiskey models, I'm sorry, not the whiskey, the Zulu model. Although helicopters aren't built for air to air, they now have in the newer models air to air capability. So they have the Sidewinder missiles on those.
Wow.
So if you ever someone comes after you for an adversary from the air, he's in for a surprise.
Well, this is great. There's so many. I mean, everybody loves this kind of stuff. I mean, this is, it has the Aviation Museum. It feels like it's going to have something for everybody. On the history side, for those of us that like that sort of stuff, you have this thing called the Lady Ace, this Huey, this helicopter. And what's really cool about this thing is everybody knows this iconic picture of the top of the Vietnamese embassy when we had to get out and the people were evacuated. You have this ladder going up to this top thing. And we have this aircraft as part of your collection, as I understand it, that literally was that aircraft that was going in and out and taking people out as South Vietnam was falling by Ho Chi Minh and the communists when South Vietnam fell. So we have this aircraft that just seems monumentally historic. I don't. Can you add to that? Anything you want to say about that thing?
It is our most historically significant aircraft in our collection, a CH-46 helicopter flown by Colonel Jerry Berry, who did fly from the 29th to 30th, 1975, was shuttling the refugees, and his mission specifically was to take the American ambassador. So that aircraft is the actual aircraft that flew the American ambassador and American flag out of Vietnam. And we have that aircraft in our collection.
So the flag, and tell me what the significance of that when you say the flag was the flag on this air and the meaning of that.
Yeah, it was the American flag that flew over the American embassy, and the American ambassador carried that as he boarded the aircraft. We don't have the flag, of course,
Right.
but he and the American flag is what Lady Ace, and that was the call sign of the aircraft. The squadron's call sign is what flew them out of Vietnam.
So historically speaking, or protocol, the ambassador would have to take the flag, the emblem of our nation,
Exactly.
the embassy, our nation's remote location, and that would have been it being removed and and being done.
The Marine security guard brought down the flag, folded it, gave it to the American ambassador, and he got on the aircraft.
Well, this is really exciting. We have so many things. How could people get involved? I mean, are you taking interns? How can people get involved and get with the organization, with your foundation, and with the just other than just following what's happening, get participate in some way with the building of the museum?
Well, the best way, of course, is to provide financial support. The doors aren't open yet, so we're not generating ever any revenue. So we are dependent upon donations. So the first thing I would ask, regardless of the amount of the donation, visit our website, www.flyingleathernecks.org. And if you are able to, make contributions to help us continue to build this museum. Any contribution of any size is always appreciated. Uh, Monthly, just go online monthly, make a donation. That's the best way. We do have some volunteers. We have to be careful with that right now because we get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
With the number of volunteers, and because the work that we need to do right now does require technical expertise. So we hired a restoration firm, for example, who has full-time restoration personnel. And I know a lot of people want volunteer to work on aircraft, but we have to have a consistent professional staff on board to do that. We do have some interns, a couple of interns with Chapman right now in Cal State Fullerton. But again, our operating size is such that we can't take everyone in. But the best way people can help is to donate, financially help us build the museum. And if they have artifacts that they think are historically significant, we do take donations from
Have
artifacts right now.
people been dropping things off, or have you
They
picked up
do. They do.
anything? What have you picked up?
We have some very interesting items. We do limit it to Marine Corps aviation only because we are an aviation museum. So people want to bring the other service family members things, and we apologize. We don't collect those, but we focus on Marine Corps aviation specifically type of things. And we have some pretty interesting old helmets right now that we've
Oh
gotten.
my God!
Old leather helmets type of things that are
Wow.
old flying cold weather outfits that people wore. So we've gotten some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
We're thrilled to have them.
Well, what's the best part for you about being up in Irvine? I mean, what does that mean to you to be up here?
Well, having been born in Los Angeles, of course, and I've lived in San Diego, gosh, for the last 50 years, it seems like now. But Irvine is a unique city. I'm learning more and more about it. First of all, it's a beautiful community. I mean, I love driving around the community. I'm envious. I wish our streets in San Diego looked as good as Irvine streets, to be quite honest. But I'm just impressed with the planned approach to building this community. And what I believe the city council is focused on managing and taking care of the citizens of Irvine. I just feel a sense from the elected officials and the volunteers of the community that they are so involved and so appreciative of what they have here that it's just ending up being, I think, a gem of Southern California. It's a beautiful community. And if I didn't have my retirement home down in San Diego, I would move up here. I'm so impressed with it. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful, and there's just a sense of community that I don't see in other places, quite honestly. And that's what I think impresses me the most. There's a real sense of community and commitment to the community that I just don't see anywhere else.
And you get a sense that the place has a commitment also to what the Great Park was before it was Great Park. I mean, tell us a little bit about your experience at El Toro Marine Air Station, the official name of the El Toro Marine Base. I mean, had you spent any time there? What was it like? Was it just a really massive, really busy place with jets flying and helicopters?
Yeah, since 1942, when the base first opened, it has been the West Coast primary jet training facility and operated here since 1942 till 1999. Growing up in Los Angeles, I remember going down to Ensenada on vacations, and we'd drive through the orange groves,
Yeah.
and there's all this noise as you rode down 5. You were, what the heck is going on? You see these jets coming and going.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience. Cobras that I flew, the H-1s, were operating out of Camp Pendleton, so I didn't operate out of El Toro, but I had occasion to fly in and out of El Toro.
Oh, so you've taken off and landed there then?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah, and it was a busy, busy airport, and it was just a thrill to be able to operate out of that, and it just, it really helped both El Toro and Tustin, I think, contributed significantly to the economic growth of Orange County.
Yeah.
So I think, Orange County, has a lot to be proud about with the contributions, historical and economic contributions that those 2, facilities made to the growth of Orange County.
And we're not just putting the museum you're building in a place where it's just a location to come to. For example, like the space shuttle in
Yeah.
Los Angeles next to, the Memorial Coliseum and USC. We're putting this aircraft and this museum on the very ground, right? The very soil that many of these aircraft took off and landed at and
Many
were
of them.
home to.
Absolutely, yeah, a lot of them check the bureau numbers, see what squadrons they were on, and they operated out of El Toro.
So we're bringing it home to some degree, I think. You're
Absolutely,
bringing it home.
absolutely. Well, I will tell you, we're so grateful, the foundation, grateful that the city of Irvine reached out to us and wanted to partner with us. So we now have a private-public partnership between the city, the foundation, and the Marine Corps to bring, the Marines back to El Toro Great Park.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you, General. Thank you so much for this time. Uh, Thank you for giving us the information. We'll also go put this in the notes as far as if people want to get involved or just check out what you're doing and see what some of the public events that you are having and holding. And where I know that you go to a lot of community events in not just Irvine, but the greater region to just go ahead and spread the word. And I always see that your table and the guys that man your table is usually the most well trafficked because people are wondering what's going on, what's this museum, what's happening. So it's really the buzz is there, and we're really excited. And I think we'll be breaking ground pretty soon, as far as I understand.
We are. We're hoping here very shortly break ground, and we're looking to open our doors early 2027.
Great, thanks, General, for coming. Really appreciate it.
Mike, my pleasure. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.